here with the encyclopedia. Connor, how you doing today?
Doing good. How about you, John?
Good. I'm doing pretty good. Did a little traveling, obviously out at the ranch this weekend, but we're still coming live for the people. Let's go ahead and get things started. And I know you had some best bets yesterday, last night. Let's go ahead and go over those. How'd those play out for you?
2-2, 500. Not terrible, but I was very surprised by Louisiana Tech's performance against Kennesaw State. I've been riding the Bulldogs every single week this season. They were undefeated against the spread going into that game, but that was by far and away their worst performance of the season. Kennesaw State. I took Louisiana Tech to cover 6.5. I also took Kennesaw State's team total under 20.5, and neither of those cashed. So unfortunately, the Bulldogs are not cash for us this week in sicko mode, but I'll still ride the Bulldogs forward. I just their quarterback kind of got banged up in that game, but obviously it's the defense of Louisiana Tech that I love this year, but they didn't perform well in that game against
Mm-hmm.
Kennesaw State's backup quarterback. So that was a little disappointing and shocking, actually. And then the futures that went well last night, the two best bets that cashed in were Southern Miss against Georgia Southern. I took Southern Miss -2.5. I got on that early in the week, closed at 3.5, depending on where you looked. So if you didn't get on it early, then you suffered an all-time bad beat there as Southern Miss nearly blew a 3-touchdown lead in the second half, but still cashed in Southern Miss -2.5. And then I took the Southern Miss team total over 30.5. That cashed in early second half.
Yeah, that's right. I saw Southern Miss had a pretty nice lead, and then I saw your tweet about they almost blew it, and then I checked the score, and it landed on right on the closing number. I believe it closed at Golden Eagles -3.
Yeah, so that's why getting on key numbers early is important.
And that's why we have the Monday show. That's why we have the opener show on Monday to try to jump in on those numbers. Let me just double check to make sure this is
Absolutely.
working
Paid
on
off.
X. Give me 1 second. Okay, we're good. I got the thumbs up. Everything's good on X. So we're live. It's working. That's good. All right. Well, that was all you had yesterday, and I know that we do have a couple games tonight. Let's go ahead and get started with the first one. Your Mean Green at home blackout game, laying 2.5 points now. They were 1 point underdog, and now they're laying 2.5, hosting South Florida Bulls. What do you think about this one?
Emotional hedge. Let's take South Florida. No, I don't really have a strong feel for this game, to tell you the truth, John. I feel like the final score is going to be around 35, 34. Maybe it even ends up being a little bit higher scoring than that, maybe 38, 35. But I don't know who's going to ultimately come out on top here. I would trust USF more because they are certainly more battle tested. They have faced a much more difficult schedule than UNT has up to this point. But the key
Uh-huh.
thing here for the Mean Green is that they are the hosts here. They're playing in Denton. It's going to be one of the most electric atmospheres in since UNT renamed their stadium DATQ. It's going to be by far and away the best atmosphere at DATQ. In fact, it's probably going to be the best atmosphere in that stadium's history, even when it was formerly known as Apogee.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't have a strong feel for who's going to come out on top here, so I'm going to pass on this game, giving like a best bet. There's no best bet material in my opinion. Like I don't even have a best bet for the total on anything. I just kind of want to see what happens here. I think this is a good litmus test though for UNT.
Yeah, and as we both know, this is basically a mini playoff game. For whoever wins, they're going to be at the top of, not at the top because we still have Boise, Memphis, and who am I missing here in the G5 at the top of the G5? Tulane, Green Wave. But yeah, this is a little mini playoff game. You obviously, if you like North Texas, you missed the key number, which when they were getting points, 1 point, even maybe plus money on the money line. But same here, no bet for me. I'll be watching this more than likely. But again, I can't lay it with North Texas just because, the number is, I imagine it being a good game. I don't know how good North Texas is just yet. We've seen South Florida, they're battle tested. should be a good game, but same here. I don't have a bet on this one.
Now, I will give the viewers something to watch out for. I'm not sure if I talked about this on Monday. Maybe I did. About if UNT were to win this game and then their schedule moving forward until early November, they have an first Saturday of November, UNT plays Navy. Navy also has a manageable schedule leading up to the game in Denton. There's a couple ifs that have to play out here. If North Texas takes down South Florida and then beats UTSA next week in what could be a potential letdown spot for the Mean Green, at least they host UTSA at the big time level, so it's not like they're going to be sleepwalking in that game. And if Navy takes care of business against an upstart Temple team this week, there's an outside chance that College Game Day could actually go to Denton, Texas in early November. Why? Because if you were to look at it from a preseason perspective, there were supposedly a ton of great games on that first Saturday in November, but a lot of those games now feature teams that have disappointed this season at the top of college football. And most namely Penn State, because they play at Ohio State that same week that Navy travels to North Texas. And we know, I shouldn't say we know, but we figure at this point in the season, given Boise's non-conference loss at USF and then their non-conference loss to Notre Dame, both in decisive fashion, that the G5 representative in the playoff, and there's probably only going to be one, will likely come out of the American. So you're looking at potentially, right, the ifs have to play out here, 2 undefeated American teams and Navy and North Texas. Well, what's a better time to go to a G5 team, to a G5 versus G5 matchup for College Game Day than the best conference among the G5 leagues? And you're having 2 of the top G5 contenders right there and 2 undefeated teams. Remember, 6 years ago, College Game Day went to Memphis when the Tigers were hosting SMU, when the Mustangs used to be a part of the American. It's in similar fashion here. Of course, now we have an expanded playoff, so they even have more reason to show up. So, and speaking of showing up, I'm going to be going to that game tonight for North Texas against USF. So,
Good. Yeah, what do we have? A 6:30 kickoff. So, yeah, that'll be a good one to go to, and hopefully your Mean Green pull it out.
We'll see. Hopefully so.
All right, and then we got one more game, a late one, and that's going to be Fresno State laying 6 points at Colorado State. You have anything on this one?
I lean Fresno State here just because it's like fade Colorado State, but I don't have a best bet on this game. I only have 3 best bets right now for Saturday, 2 of which I've tweeted out, and then another one I'm going to add here later on in the show. I might have 1 or 2 more that I add, but it will not be from the Friday night slate. I definitely don't want to have a best bet in the back of my mind as I'm trying to enjoy watching UNT and USF.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit for that at all. So yeah, nothing for me either. Fresno State's been playing pretty well. As you know, Colorado State, if you want to back the Rams, good luck to you. I will say Colorado State with the backup quarterback did look improved against San Diego State. They did move the football, and I'm blanking on the running back's name, but he looked really strong as well. Very powerful runner. So the offense actually looked good against San Diego State, with all things considering for Colorado State. But yeah, I can't back the Rams here. But if you do, I don't really, I wouldn't hate taking 6 points here. But again, we got to see how this Colorado State team plays. And once again, with the backup quarterback. But I will say they did look good against San Diego State, though. All right.
Colorado State certainly looks improved there, but the defense for Colorado State is still very bad against the run, and that's what Fresno State likes to do. So we'll see if Colorado State bounces back, but I don't think there's a ton of faith behind the scenes right now in Fort.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%, and I'm not going to have any action on that game either. Oh, there's actually one more game tonight. I missed this one, and that's going to be Rutgers at Washington. Huskies laying 10.5 points. Total of 61. Any info you have for us on this one?
If you can find over 34.5 team total for Washington, I don't think that's a bad bet. You're probably going to have some points here. I don't think the Rutgers defense is good at all. Like, this is not when we had a play on Rutgers 2 years ago to make a bowl game and over 3.5 wins back in 2023. That was a much more physical and defensively led team for Greg Schiano at Rutgers. That was like your typical Schiano bunch. Not this year. Now, the offense is better for Rutgers, but the defense is just terrible. So I think Washington is going to move the football at will here. I just don't know about the pace here. The spread's 10.5, so I could see some points at the end here. Remember, Washington's coming off that emotional come from behind victory against Maryland. I shouldn't say remember because I know you remember. And then Washington has Michigan dead. So I'm not exactly sure. Like, there could be some look ahead if Washington's ahead kind of late in this game. By a decent margin. They may not keep their foot on the gas if they don't have to. So I don't have any best bets here, but I do think Washington's offense is going to move the football at will against that Rutgers defense.
And who did you say Washington plays next week?
Michigan.
Oh, okay. Then, yeah, definitely a possible look-ahead spot. They are coming off a bye week as well. No, they played Maryland. Duh. Oh, my bad. Yeah, we just set that, and unfortunately, they came back and won that game. But yeah, nothing for me either. Laying 10 points, it's a look ahead spot. I wouldn't be surprised if Washington does have a good game. But yeah, Rutgers hasn't looked great. Iowa scored about 28 points on them, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to move the ball. Huskies, that is. But again, no play for me on that game. All right, let's roll into Saturday. And first game, a Big 12 matchup, Central Florida at Cincinnati. Cincinnati coming off a huge win for us at home against Iowa State. Bearcats laying 11 points. What do you think about this one?
No play. I mean, you will hardly ever hear or see me ride Scott Satterfield or jump on ship of the Scatterfield train, or Satterfield, excuse me. So I don't trust Satterfield with double digits here. Do I think Cincinnati's a better team? Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think it's that valuable at this spot. So no best bet here.
Yeah, same. I'm not I mean, again, I like the Cincinnati offense. I like Sorsby. Not a Satterfield fan. Do I want to take points with Central Florida on the road, even though they are getting double digits? No, they really couldn't get the job done against Kansas. So, I don't really want to trust them on the road here against Cincinnati, a hot Cincinnati team that is. So, yeah, nothing for me. But, yeah, nothing for me on that game. I got to agree there.
And, like, the only reason why you and I were on Cincinnati last week, it was more so like fading Iowa State in that spot. Yeah. It's not like we were like, oh, Cincinnati, let's back the Bearcats. And
they almost blew it. They almost blew it too.
Right. That's the Bearcats. That's the Satterfield led team that I know. So that's going to come out at some time. There could be a bad beat here. Now, do I think UCF's going to go on the road and win this game? Probably not. And if it does happen to be a close game, guys, both of these coaching staffs are going to try to find ways to lose it. So one of these teams is going to have to come out on top. I don't know. Maybe Cincinnati does barely cover, but this is not best bet material. And obviously Cincinnati is coming off an emotional win on top of that. So there's no angle here for me. Absolutely no angle.
Yeah, I wouldn't lay the double digits with Cincinnati, but I'm not in any hurry to back Central Florida. It's just not it's not a good game that I want to get on. That's for sure. Let's move to the ACC. Pitt Panthers on the road taking on the Florida State Seminoles. Seminoles laying 10.5. Florida State came up zeros against Miami. Miami dominated Florida State. Florida State kind of made it respectable in the second half. That was my best bet, was the Seminoles. Boy, did I make a bad decision. I know that we talked about this on Monday as well. We know that Miami is a strong team, probably the best team in the country. You can put them right behind Ohio State until somebody beats the Buckeyes. But Miami's looking like one of the best teams in the country, and they proved it on Saturday.
Yeah, they did. They're a very physical bunch. Miami probably has the best collection of line of scrimmage talent combined offensively and defensively.
100%. Yeah.
I don't really know what to expect though with Florida State Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had that true freshman quarterback play incredible in his very first start last week against Boston College. Could that have something to do with BC as well? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it could. I don't think Boston College defense is really that good at all. I think they have a couple of nice defensive backs, but the front six, front seven does not impress me for Boston College. For Florida, for Pittsburgh and Florida State, 10.5 here feels like one of these teams is going to end up covering the spread, and it's not going to be close. So does Pittsburgh keep this very interesting, or does Florida State blow Pittsburgh away? I don't really have a strong feel for this game because honestly, John, I don't have a strong feel for Florida State in particular. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever I've expected from Florida State seems like to be the exact opposite every week. So I don't have any best bets here.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I had to find that out the hard way with Florida State last weekend. And Tommy Castellanos, man, he was forced to throw and he couldn't throw the football. We know he could run. Miami shut that down, forced him to throw, and he committed a couple turnovers, a few turnovers, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, I don't want to lay double digits with Florida State. We got to see how good they are. Same thing with Pitt. How good is Pitt? We don't really know. I could see Florida State finally having a bounce back game, playing well against Pittsburgh, but I don't really know enough about Pitt right now, so it's just no play for me here. Pitt is juiced to the to yeah, Pitt's at 10.5 is juiced to $1.18. So money is coming in on Pitt. I guess people are wanting to fade Florida State and Castellanos. So we'll see how that game shakes out, but I don't have a bet on it though. Here's an interesting game in the Big Ten. The UCLA Bruins coming off a huge upset over Penn State Nittany Lions. Was it a huge upset? Two terrible teams. Somebody had to win, and it was the Bruins. They're going to travel to East Lansing, take on Michigan State Spartans. Spartans laying 7.5 points. What do you think about this one and the UCLA Bruins here?
Well, the spot here screams for Michigan State to cover here, especially at home, and Michigan State really needs a win here. But I don't trust um, Michigan State's talent. Like, I don't think it's that much better than UCLA. I know UCLA up until against Penn State, everyone was fading the Bruins. Obviously, they were winless against the spread up until that point. But
Yeah.
I don't think either team is that much more talented than the other. If I thought that was the case, I would lay the points here with Michigan State. But I don't think this is your typical Michigan State bunch. They haven't been now for a couple years. So
Yep.
7.5 here. I wouldn't be shocked if Michigan State ends up covering the spread because UCLA just has like a no-show. And then maybe UCLA still just really sucks.
Yeah.
But I don't really have any strong feel for this game. If the spread was lower than beneath a touchdown, which obviously we know it wouldn't be for obvious reasons, then I
Mhm.
would lay it in Michigan State. But there's a reason why the number is where it is. So no
Yeah,
play
it's
here.
a
But
huge.
if Michigan State ends up winning this game by a few scores, then obviously figure out why.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge letdown spot for UCLA. I don't trust the Michigan State defense. I don't like Aiden Childs. He turns the ball over way too many times. Um, yeah, I could see this being a shootout and UCLA covering within the number. It's just a huge letdown spot backing UCLA with travel and being on the road. It's going to be an ugly game because like you said, I could see Michigan State covering this number and the 7.5 is just kind of begging for you to take it and Michigan State ends up having a big game. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. It's just a terrible spot for UCLA and a tough spot to back the Bruins here. So I'm definitely staying away from this one. Michigan State's been good to me this year, especially in shootouts, but now they're the ones laying the points and laying more than a touchdown. I don't want anything to do with it. Again, Aiden Childs, not the biggest fan. Too many turnovers. This game's a pass for me. All right, let's see. A lot of MAC games. All right, we got. This I didn't realize this was an 11 a.m. game. We got Alabama Crimson Tide laying 3 points on the road at Missouri. What do you think? What do you think about this one?
I've seen a lot of people best bet Missouri +3 or +3.5. I don't have a strong feel for this game. I know some people that even took Alabama -2.5 as a best bet. So
Mm-hmm.
if Alabama were not kind of like in a sandwich spot here, if this was not a tricky spot schedule wise for the Crimson Tide and not such a great spot schedule wise for Missouri, I would be all over the Crimson Tide. But because of the schedule dynamics, this is a pass for me. This is a good litmus test to see just how good Missouri actually is because their schedule up to this point has been very manageable. Meanwhile, Alabama's has been extremely difficult. This is one of the more difficult schedules in recent years for the Crimson Tide. So I think there potentially could be some spots in which we could potentially fade or fade Missouri or tail Alabama, depending on the result of this game, or vice versa. So this game is going to tell me a lot more about these two teams, especially Missouri. This is a pass for me, but this is obviously let's get our eye test on Missouri and then see where they are in terms of like power ratings in the SEC. So this is a good test to see where Missouri is as a team and how good they actually are. But this is still a pass for me in terms of best bet.
Okay. And you wanna expand a little bit and talk about the schedule spots for Alabama. We know they just came off a huge game against Georgia on the road, a big game, Vanderbilt at home that they were really pumped up for. And who does the Crimson Tide play? We know that obviously they play Missouri this week. Do they have a big game next week?
Tennessee. Yep. They play Tennessee next
Okay.
week.
Okay, so that's a rough schedule. And again, sandwich spot, right?
And Missouri's coming off a bye.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. And that's why I have Missouri +3, my first best bet of the weekend right there. The Missouri Tigers. I think that
all right.
It's been it's been pretty, Alabama's looked really good. Like I said, I think this was either last week or I was probably on Monday actually. It was on Monday. Alabama looks like one of the best teams in the country right now. Definitely a top 5 team eyeball test after the way that they played against Georgia. And then the Vanderbilt game struggled a little bit against Vandy, but as soon as they turned it on, the Crimson Tide took care of business in the second half. But again, tough sandwich spot. But I do like Missouri here. A lot of tickets coming in on Alabama. I believe this was Alabama -3.5, maybe earlier in the week. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
It might have been 3.5, and now it's at 3. But I do like the Missouri Tigers here. Okay. Yeah, I do like Missouri here, and Mizzou +3 is my first best bet of the weekend. I think they're little underrated, little undervalued. Mizzou. Sometimes you just got to take a home dog, see what happens. All right, next game, another 10 a.m. game. This is going to be the Ohio State Buckeyes. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Ohio State Buckeyes laying 14.5 points on the road in Champaign, taking on Illinois Fighting Illini. What do you think about this one?
I lean Ohio State here. If you can find a -14 out there, I think that could be a push. So that's a bad play because I don't think Illinois is really all that good of a team. I don't think their offensive line's all that great. I still don't think their receiving core is all that talented. So I lean Ohio State here. I'm not going to quite make this a best bet, though. But I definitely lean Buckeyes here. So this is Buckeyes or pass. But I'm not going to best bet this because I do want to see Ohio State play on the road again. They already played very well in a difficult environment against Washington for a Washington team that I think is better than Illinois. So again, I do lean Ohio State here, but I'm not going to.
Yeah. So what was that? Washington was what, minus 10, and then it got down to 7.5, and then I think closed 9 or 10. And then now you have Illinois 14, 14 and a half. What did Ohio State end up beating Washington by? 17, 20 points?
24-6,
Um,
18.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So I mean, if that same Ohio State team shows up, especially defensively, Illinois is gonna have a tough time. Definitely I don't want to take the points with Illinois. Yeah, you either lay the points with Ohio State or pass this one, in my opinion. But I don't want anything to do with this game either way. All right, here's an ugly ACC game, and Stanford Cardinal traveling to Dallas. SMU in a blackout this weekend. Mustangs fair by 18.5 points. Ugly game here. You have any info
Oh, sorry, say that
for
matchup
us on
again.
this one? Stanford at SMU.
No, I don't have any best bets here. I mean, SMU's, I think they're still winless against the spread, but I don't like Stanford at all. Backing the
Yeah,
Cardinal here on the road, you feel like there's going to be some game where SMU puts up a large number and they finally cover. This might be it. Um,
yeah,
I've seen people have best bets on both sides here because they want to fade
really.
SMU because again they're winless against the spread, or they want to back or they want to actually tail SMU just because of how bad Stanford is. So, I don't have any best bets here. At 17 and a hook right now at most places. Like this just screams bad beat again. So I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of these numbers here just scream bad beat. You're going to hear me say that a lot. I don't really have a true angle on this game. I've been wrong about SMU a couple of times this year. I've also been correct about Stanford a couple of times and then incorrect other times. When I
yeah.
want to fade Stanford, that's when they play well. Whenever I want to tail Stanford, that's when they play bad. I don't have a feel for this game. Do you?
No, not at all. SMU not struggled, but they definitely didn't cover the spread against Syracuse last weekend. So I don't have any faith in SMU doing the same to Stanford here. But the Mustangs can rip off, the 21-point win, and it wouldn't be surprising. But yeah, I don't want anything to do with either one of these teams. I don't like Stanford and SMU. You really can't trust them. So nothing for me in this game. Total's at 55. Maybe you look at the total, but yeah, I'm staying away altogether here. All right, another 11 a.m. game. The Houston Cougars laying 14.5 points at Oklahoma State. Sounds like Oklahoma State's going to start a different quarterback. I guess a third string quarterback. They're giving him a run. What do you think about this one?
I don't have anything here. Houston's also going to be really banged up, and I know Houston was really good against the spread up until the last couple of weeks. But I
Yeah.
think Houston, in terms of their ATS numbers and their power rating, like soaring up because of what they looked like in the first few weeks, I think that had to do more with their opponents. So I don't think Houston is quite as good as its record. We saw that last week
Hmm.
after their performance against Texas Tech. But obviously, like I'm not going to tail Oklahoma State here, even in Stillwater. So
Yeah.
I don't have a strong feel for this game. Would it shock me if Oklahoma State covered 14 and a half? No. Would it shock me if Houston blew them out of the water? No. So, yeah, I mean, I've had one play regarding a Big 12 matchup so far, and that was last week with Cincinnati. That cashed,
Hmm.
but I don't have a play for this Big 12 matchup.
Yeah, same here. You'd think that the Houston defense could show up. Wegman had a terrible game against Texas Tech. Or not TCU. Houston was my best bet, one of my best bets last weekend. I thought that they can keep it close. Talked about it on Monday. They couldn't generate any offense against a very strong Texas Tech team. Yeah, Oklahoma State's on their third string quarterback, at least third string. They're going to give him a shot, but can you trust Oklahoma State? No. But Houston, maybe they put some points together. They had a rough week last weekend, but again, just a game that I don't want to bet. It's a total pass for me for sure. All right, let me scroll down here and see if there's a good game for us. Let's see here. Because I know both of us have a lot. Okay, here's one. 2:30. Iowa State Cyclones laying 2.5 at Colorado. Colorado coach Prime looks like Prime's been in and out of the hospital. Not a lot, but I think this past week he's been. Interesting game here. Definitely Iowa has a chance to bounce back from the Cincinnati loss. But it's a very interesting game just because of the number. You would think Iowa State would be favored by like 4.5 or so, but a little bit of respect for Colorado based on the number. What do you think about this one?
No play for me here. So I know I was speaking about it for a couple of weeks. I wasn't really an Iowa State believer. And they finally looked pretty bad in a lot of areas last week against Cincinnati. They didn't even come close to covering that spread. I know Cincinnati almost choked, but really,
Yeah.
like Cincinnati had that game completely under control. Cincinnati could have named their number, and then they just got conservative. That's Satterfield. That's why I don't like to back them up too many times. So,
Yeah.
but this matchup features two teams that I would both love to fade, but they're playing each other.
Yeah.
Someone's got to win here. So these are the kind of spots that if one of y'all that are tuning in feel really confident with one team or the other, go for it. Because I think both of these teams are a little fraudulent. I know I've said that about Iowa State. I said that throughout the summertime with Colorado. I have a future on them. By the way, Colorado loses this game, John. I already cashed that future in with the Buffaloes.
You
I
look
will
like
be
you're
pulling for Iowa State
you'll
here.
be in good shape. You're definitely in good shape. I mean,
So, right. So that future will cash at some point. Will it cash this week? Hopefully, maybe not. Iowa State's banged up defensively right now. So if you feel like Iowa State deserves to be favored by more because they're a better team than Colorado by decisive margin, like I understand that argument. But again, they're just banged up. They have a lot of injuries right now. So with Iowa State playing on the road here, like Colorado, honestly, the last couple of weeks has looked a little bit better. So I'm not going to fade the Buffaloes here. I'm going to be
same. It just feels like Colorado keeps getting closer and closer, especially at the on these home games, and they're bound to break through at least once this season. It could be this week against Iowa State. I'm not too sure who Iowa State plays next week, so there could be a potential look ahead spot. Just because this number is just so fishy to me, 2.5. Again, you would think this is at least a field goal, more than a field goal, but it's 2.5. I don't know. If I had to pick one, it would be Iowa State. But something's just a little too fishy for me in this game with this number. All right, next game, 2:30. The Nebraska Cornhuskers laying 6.5 at Maryland. What do you think about this one?
I think you might have something on this game, at least from what you stated earlier in the week. I don't have any best bets here. You know, I do not trust this Nebraska defense. I have said that multiple times, specifically their defensive line. I think Maryland's just a better team than I thought they were, no doubt. I know a lot of people were taking Maryland under 2.5 Big Ten wins in the preseason. I didn't bet that, though, because I thought Maryland's schedule was kind of manageable by Big Ten standards. They didn't play a lot of the top dogs in the Big Ten. They kind of have like the schedule that Rutgers had last season. So typically with those teams, even if they're not all that good, they can overachieve because they don't have a significant talent gap from an uphill battle on a week-to-week basis. I don't really know who to trust in this spot. If this were at Nebraska, I would lay it with the Huskers, even though I don't trust their defense, because do we really feel confident Maryland's going to bounce back after that tough loss that they had last week against Washington? I don't. But I think Maryland, honestly, is just as talented as Nebraska. So I could
Yeah.
see Maryland hanging around here at home, and probably I wouldn't be shocked if they got off to a little bit of a slow start. But if you don't have a good defense, it's hard to cover spreads of larger than a field goal, especially on the road. Well, here we are with Nebraska. So like I've seen best bets from both angles here, and I can understand each. So I don't have a best bet on this game. I tell you the truth, John, I have no clue what to expect from these two teams because of the spot physically for Nebraska
Hmm.
and then emotionally for Maryland. So I don't have any best bets for this game.
And I do. And we talked about it on Monday. I'm still going to back my Maryland Terrapins getting 6.5 points at home. I don't get it. I don't understand this spread. I didn't understand it last week, and I don't understand it this week. Washington getting 6.5 points makes more sense, but now Nebraska is laying 6.5 points, the same spread as Washington. I'm not buying it. I do not like this Nebraska defense. Malik Washington, freshman quarterback for Maryland's been a beast. He looked great. Unfortunately, Maryland did not score any points in the second half against Washington, but I think they get it done this week. They're gonna learn. They learned their lesson. They had to learn it the hard way. And just like some of these other games, we are maybe a week ahead, a week too early for the Maryland outright. I think they get the outright win this weekend and definitely cover. Right now at Bet Online, Maryland's plus 6.5 at even money. I love it. I'm still gonna write this Maryland team. Kind of like you said, Nebraska on the road. I can see this coming down to a field goal, but I think Maryland can win this game. I don't like that Nebraska defense. The offense has looked pretty good, but it was against Michigan State. Again, Michigan State turns the ball over a lot. Um, I like Maryland here. I'll take the points. One of my best bets. My second best bet,
All
Maryland.
right.
Okay, next game, 2:30. TCU laying 2 points at Kansas State. Speaking of an interesting spread, this one right here. What do you think about this game?
Oh, I don't have any strong feels here. So, this is similar to the previous game that we just discussed with the home team from an emotional perspective. Kansas State absolutely had that game won in Waco against Baylor, and they let
Yep.
that game slip through their fingers in the closing minutes. Um, TCU, on the other hand, didn't look great last week, despite the backdoor cover from Josh Hoover and the TCU passing attack against the Buffaloes. I don't have anything here, John. This is a complete toss-up in my mind. It's around a pick 'em spread, so yeah, that's obvious there. Yeah, I don't have any best bets here. Do you?
No, not at all. Again, we've been saying it all week. I mean, not even all week, all season. We've been saying it. You can't trust this Kansas State team. They keep on proving it time and time, week after week. The coaching, the quarterback play. They had a double-digit lead at Waco. Somehow they squandered it. I just, Avery Johnson, Kleiman. This is not a match made in heaven. I could see them having an ugly divorce at the end of the season, and Chris Kleiman may not even be coming back to coach Kansas State. So again, a huge game for K State. Fishy line, TCU -2 on the road. I don't know. If I had to bet it, I would take Kansas State. But again, I want nothing to do with either one of these teams. TCU has looked like the better team all season, but again, road game, Kansas State, they're desperate, but it's a madhouse there in Manhattan. I don't want anything to do with either one of these teams. All right, here's a big game, 2:30 tomorrow. Indiana Hoosiers at the Oregon Ducks. Ducks laying 7 points. You got any info for us on this game?
No, I don't really have a strong feel for this one either, and a lot of that has to do with how Penn State looked against UCLA. Now, I don't want to sound like the casual here that's like, oh, maybe Oregon's not all that good because Penn State didn't look good against UCLA. No, what I mean is, how good is Penn State? Like, I am not like, we know Penn State had a no show performance against UCLA, but from a preseason perspective, not from a last week perspective, how good is Penn State? So if we still view Penn State as a top 10, top 15 team, then Oregon is certainly that. But I mean, Oregon is probably at the very least a top 15 team. So, but do we all of a sudden do we still feel confident with Oregon being like a solidified top 3 team in the country like we did just a week ago? Maybe we don't. And then what are our feelings about Indiana? Do we really know what to make of the Hoosiers yet? They dominated Illinois because of that was just like all the dominoes fell into place for Indiana in that
Yeah.
matchup because Illinois had a ton of injuries in their
Struggled with
secondary.
Iowa on the road.
So I don't have a strong feel. Right. So I don't really have a strong feel for how good either of these teams are. So that's why I don't have a best bet for this game. But by the way, this is a tremendous coaching matchup between Dan Lanning for the Ducks and Kurt Signetti for Indiana. Yeah, tremendous coaching matchup. I don't have any best bets here. I really just want to watch what I hope will be a really fun and entertaining game.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. I don't know if I was gonna bet, I would bet Oregon. Oregon at home. Indiana, we don't know how good Indiana is. The one time they had to step up in competition against Iowa on the road, they had a tough game. And how good is Iowa? Not very good. So this is an interesting game to me. Obviously, it's a mini tournament game, playoff game. Um, yeah, it's a huge litmus test for Indiana. Are the Hoosiers for real? They're going to need this game, especially at the end of the season when we're starting to take bids for college football playoff invitations. They're going to want this one on their resume. Dan Lanning knows that, and he always gets his teams up to play it, especially at home. Again, you're right. Oregon, they went to double overtime with Penn State on the road. How good's Penn State? Same thing with Indiana. Do you want to lay 7 points with Oregon? I don't know. I would lay it. I would lay it with Oregon before I would take it with Indiana because, like I said, when they had to play a real team and I was not even that good, that was a back and forth matchup that they had to play. They're going to definitely a huge step up in competition with this Oregon defense. I haven't bet this one. I thought about when we talked about it on Monday. I thought about making Oregon a best bet. I haven't yet. This is an honorable mention with the Ducks, but no bet right now for me. I just, I guess we're kind of just waiting to see which one of these teams is for real, and we'll know a lot more after this game. But am I gonna bet it? I don't know. I haven't been able to, and I can't get there just yet with the Ducks. All right, big game, another big game here at 2:30. Red River rivalry. We got the Oklahoma Sooners taking on the Texas Longhorns in the Cotton Bowl. Neutral game. Texas is technically Texas is the home team, and I'm looking at a pick 'em right now on Bet Online. We talked about this game on Monday. Oklahoma was +3. I recommended Oklahoma. I took Oklahoma +3. Now they're saying John Mateer's more than likely going to play. The spread saying Mateer's probably going to play. We gotta pick them here. It's been trickling down. It's been 3 and then 2.5, 1.5, 1. Now it's down to a pick. Oklahoma -115. What info do you have for us on this one?
I would love to come out and say that I have some like inside information on the OU quarterback situation, but I don't. And I certainly don't have any best bets for this game because, look, even if John Mateer plays, I don't think he's going to be fully healthy. I think everyone knows that. But in this kind of a game, two awesome defenses and look, even with John Mateer, I don't think OU's offense is great, but I think John Mateer makes them from a bad offense to a decent to good offense. Texas right now offensively is obviously struggling. They've struggled this entire season against any team and defense not named Sam Houston. So, by the way, congrats to Sam Houston. They finally covered and almost won last night.
They did.
So, congrats to the Bearcats there. Finally covered at least. But with Texas and Oklahoma, I just kind of want to kick back and watch this game. It could be really ugly, especially if Mateer is not in. But even if Mateer is
Mm-hmm.
playing, he's not going to be fully healthy. And I don't trust this Oklahoma offensive line one bit. I also don't think the Oklahoma receiving core outside of Deion Burks is all that great. So I really don't think they're going to have a ton of explosiveness against this Texas secondary, which is looking to bounce back after, by their standards, a subpar performance against a now healthier Florida Gator offense last
Yeah.
week. I don't have anything, John. If I did have more info available on the OU quarterback situation, like what is John Mateer actually looking like? Like he's going to play, but
Mm-hmm.
he's not looking that good in practice, or he's not going to
Yeah.
play for certain. If I had a stronger feeling for that, or if I actually knew some stuff, and we're not going to be told anything until like Saturday morning, then I would potentially have a best bet here. But nope, nothing
Mm-hmm.
for me in this matchup.
Yeah, isn't it his throwing hand that got injured? His non-throwing thumb, I believe.
No, I think it's his throwing hand.
Oh, it is his throwing hand. Oh, okay, okay. Then that is a major injury. Yeah, Texas is looking to bounce back. You mentioned the secondary. Sounds like Muhammad's going to be back in the starting lineup. He didn't play last week, so that should be a huge upgrade for the Texas defense. They need all the help they can get. Like you also mentioned the Oklahoma offensive line, the kind of struggles that they've been having. Can Texas get a pass rush? They've been struggling in that department. Like I said, I took Oklahoma +3. Talked about it earlier in the week. I want to see where this line lands, and especially if we have more when we have more information on the quarterback situation. Again, Oklahoma, one of the best defenses in the country, where they're going to be put to the test against Texas. How good is this Texas offense? Some people like the way that they looked against Florida eventually in the second half, but it looked rough in the first half. I want to see how Texas plays, and I want to hear more about the Mateer situation, what the news looks like. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? I actually like Hawkins as a backup quarterback. I believe last year Oklahoma got, I think what they lost by like 40 points or something last year. So definitely revenge on the mind for the Sooners. Normally in a rivalry game like this, a team gets killed. The next year, they bounce back. I expect that from Oklahoma. Again, gave this out +3, +2.5 on Monday, and now I'll just wait to see how this line settles out before I play anything on it again. All right, here's an interesting game. Arkansas Razorbacks at Tennessee. Tennessee laying 10.5. Razorbacks with the new interim head coach, Bobby Petrino. After they kick Sam Pittman out, Bobby Petrino immediately fires most of the staff, brings in his own guys. You have any info for us on this game?
I do not. I do not. I've seen some people take Arkansas plus the points here because kind of the spot for Tennessee. They have potential look ahead to Alabama. Arkansas now
Mm-hmm.
with some more spirited play. We've seen that work out in the past for a lot of other teams in these kind of spots.
Yeah,
13, I think it may be 13 and a half or so. Maybe there was even a 14 and a half out
I'm pretty sure on
there.
Monday it was
I don't
13
have
and
any
a
best
half.
bets here. Okay. I don't have any best bets here. Like my one lean would be the Tennessee team total. Maybe is it over 40 or 41 and a half? I don't
That
think
I don't
Arkansas's
know.
defense from a talent perspective is any good and respect the competition that, that they're going to be facing. So that would be my lean here, but I don't have any best bets.
Yeah, I'm looking at the total. It's 69. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a high team total for Tennessee. I talked about it a little bit on Monday. This is feels like a good spot to back Arkansas, but again, the Lions moved 3 points from 13.5 down to 10.5. It is still a bettable number. Yeah, you're getting double digits, but again, you'll be on the road. Who did Arkansas play last week? Were they did they have a bye week after the Notre Dame game? I can't think if they had a game last week.
Let me pull them up.
Okay.
Arkansas.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, and it might have been a bye week. I
Let's,
don't remember.
well, my Wi-Fi cannot be working any slower right now. My goodness. Yeah, they are coming off a bye, so that's another reason. That's a
Okay.
spot play. I said
Yeah.
I said earlier this season after a couple of spot plays, including OU Temple, that if it's just solely based on the spot as a best bet, I'm no longer going to be offering those as best bets. So sorry for that one earlier this year. That was arguably my worst play of the season. And believe me, I've been on the wrong side of some games here, especially the last couple of weeks. Last week wasn't a bad week for me. I was actually on the right side last week on a lot of plays. Louisiana Tech just didn't perform well last night, but it's been getting better because I've avoided plays like these. And you know what? I'm sure the second I avoid it, then it happens. I don't have anything on this game. If someone else tuning into this does, then go for it. But this is not something that I want to best bet because Arkansas is coming off a bye and they might play spirited and Tennessee might look ahead to Alabama. Like, I'm not going to have a best bet on something like that.
Yeah, again, I would have had this as a best bet. Talked about it on Monday. If this number was still 13.5 with Arkansas, I do like this spot for the Razorbacks. Again, Tennessee's got Alabama next week, but it's at the end of the day, it's still Arkansas. They're not great. It's just I wouldn't say it's a tricky number, but I just don't. I don't want to lay double digits, obviously. And I can't recommend Arkansas while there's a 13.5 out there earlier in the week, especially when we were going over it on Monday. I did bring it up on Monday. I didn't give it out as an early opener best bet. But yeah, I mean, I wish I should have took it at 13.5. I can't take it now at 10.5. It just smells like a spot that you're gonna get burned in, honestly. All right, 6 p.m. game. Yeah, that's a 3 o'clock game. Now we got a 6 p.m. game. Big Ten. This is an ugly one. Could get ugly for a lot of reasons. That's Iowa laying 3 at Wisconsin. Two ugly offenses. Do you have any info for us on this one?
I'm sorry, name the matchup again.
Iowa at Wisconsin. Hawkeyes laying 3 points.
Oh, Iowa, Wisconsin. No. I mean, if there's a game for Wisconsin, like to go all in for, it's this game.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
yeah,
I think there's been something going on at Wisconsin with it where they do like 42 push-ups because they gave up 42 points to Iowa last year. So if there's any game on Wisconsin's schedule that's like winnable, where they could kind of have an all-in effort for and have a as good of a showing as this Wisconsin team can have, it's this game.
Mm-hmm.
And they are playing host to Iowa, so that's going to help them in that regard. But no, I can't fade or tail either one of these teams in this spot. So I'm not going to have any best bets for this game.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And you're right in the sense that I could see Wisconsin showing up for this game. They showed a little bit of life against Michigan, so it wouldn't surprise me if Wisconsin does pull this one out. Yeah, again, do you really want to bet Iowa on the road laying points, laying a full field goal? At least it's not 3.5. But yeah, if you want to get ugly, you want to get nasty, take the 3 with Wisconsin, maybe even the money line. Not something I'm going to bet. But you're right, and I do agree with you that if Wisconsin's going to win a Big Ten game, show up for a game, it's probably going to be this one against Iowa. All right, 6 p.m. Florida Gators coming off that big win, hosting Texas last weekend. Now they travel to College Station to take on A&M. A&M laying 7.5 points. What do you think about this game?
I saw some people take A&M as a best bet plus 7.5, or excuse me, they took Florida as a best bet plus 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have anything on this game. So, John, this kind of goes back to my preseason, my priors about not wanting to have really any best bets regarding those top teams in college football, at least roster talent wise. And that's the case in this
Mm-hmm.
game. Florida's trending up right now. Offensively was the issue. Finally getting healthy with some of their first month struggles on that side of the football. They even had a backdoor cover last week against White, starting off very slow and against the spread. Um, that game, maybe it's here. Maybe that's what others are banking on. No pun intended. I'm not going to have any best bets though in this game.
Same here. Nothing for me. I talk about it every week. A&M's got great athletes. Marcel Reed is doing just enough for the Aggies to have pretty strong wins, convincing wins. They did against Mississippi State, 7.5. Do you want to lay it with the Aggies? I don't know. I mean, I would probably lay it with A&M before I take the 7.5 with Florida. What Florida team's going to show up? Which DJ Lagway is going to show up, which Billy Napier is going to show up. We know that they're healthier. Gators are healthier. They look great against Texas. Now they're coming down, or not coming down. They could have a letdown and come down spot at A&M. A&M's been tough. They've been playing great, and I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna. If this gets down to 7, it makes sense with A&M, but Florida, we talked about it a little bit on Monday that this Gators team got hot at the end of last season. Was that Texas game going to kickstart this Gators team? It might. I don't know if this is technically a rivalry game, but I'm pretty sure Florida and A&M have been playing each other. I think no, I was thinking that they've been playing each other every year because it was considered a rivalry. I could be wrong on that though, but I feel like A&M and Florida play each other every year, and it's actually a really close contest. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of I'm kind of stuck on it here because I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about how Florida could stay in this game. The offense looks so good against Texas. I just don't know if they could do it again and replicate that same game plan against A&M. They're not going to sneak up on the Aggies like they snuck up on the Longhorns. A&M's going to be ready for them. Elko's got these guys playing hard. I can't take the points of the Gators. It's just I just have a bad feeling about Florida. But do I want to lay it with A&M 7.5? They're happy to win by 3 points, 4 points. But I'm staying away from this one. It should be a good game, though. I hope it's a good game. We'll see if that number moves any. All right, next game. Rambled a little bit there. My bad. Next game, San Jose State. Spartans laying 2 points, going to Laramie at Wyoming. I think you have a little info for us on this one.
Yeah, this is best bet. Give me San Jose State on the money line. We're finally getting to a best bet. I know I said earlier this week I wasn't going to have as much stuff this week, and you're seeing why. I'm going to end up with the same amount of best bets, but it's literally because I picked out a couple early on in the marketplace, which I would not best bet now because of some price changes. Including one that we're going to talk about here in a little while. But I like this one. So think about this from an Ingles perspective early on in the season. So again, my best bet here is San Jose State on the money line. I would also love San Jose State against the spread, but because of the price of the money line, just give me, again, San Jose State money line here. So early on in the season, we've seen San Jose State, Wyoming, UNLV, and New Mexico with some intriguing non-conference matchups. So New Mexico looked amazing against UCLA. So everyone's like, oh, New Mexico is a team to watch for. And everyone's taking New Mexico on the money line last week against San Jose State. And San Jose State should have won that game by double digits. San Jose State ended up winning by a full touchdown. And then, Wyoming looked okay at times in the non-conference in the first 3 quarters or so against Colorado. There was a brief moment, like late third quarter, early fourth quarter, where you're like, wow, is Wyoming going to only lose this game by single digits in Boulder? And so Wyoming, and then Wyoming looked okay in the first couple weeks because they weren't playing against a team with a pulse. We've seen Akron's offense. Remember, Wyoming beat Akron 10-0. So where I'm getting at here with all these teams, UNLV, they beat Wyoming last week decisively because of a couple of special teams touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think UNLV is all that good. As I've been saying, I think they're at this point now that Iowa State and LSU have lost, I think UNLV record-wise against what you would think their overall power rating would be because of its record, I think is a little bit fraudulent. So where I'm getting at here, John, is I think New Mexico, UNLV, and because of it, and those weird non-conference matchups, Wyoming a little bit are overpriced, and San Jose State, because of their slow starts in non-conference play, including a couple of really close losses, are a little underpriced. I still think San Jose State is the exact same team I thought they were coming into the season, which is one of the top Mountain West teams, not because I think they're some juggernaut, but I thought they were not decisively, but I thought they were in competition to play for the Mountain West title because of their schedule. And their Mountain West schedule is still as manageable as I thought it was. And they're already 1-0. They took down New Mexico last week. They should have won that game by a couple of touchdowns, but they still covered and they still won by a full touchdown. John, I think it's a good thing. I think New Mexico, it's a good thing for us in this best bet that New Mexico had some garbage time points there, unless San Jose State would be a larger favorite here. I actually think, this may be a hot take, we'll see. I actually think San Jose State should be a full field goal plus favorite in this game. So I love San Jose State on the money line. I think they're the better team. I don't think Wyoming is really all that improved from last year. They are 1-6 in their last 7 Mountain West games. They've also been bad against the number over the last couple of years, even in non-conference play, but certainly in Mountain West play. I like San Jose State here. I think they are the better team.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I watched that game against New Mexico. San Jose State has one of the best wide receivers in the country, Scudero. They use about 4 or 5 running backs. Kenya Matalolo's got that offense humming right now. The defense is just good enough. So I'm right there with you. I agree with you on the San Jose State play. Hopefully we aren't a week. Hopefully we weren't a week early with Wyoming last week whenever we thought that they could beat UNLV. Hopefully they don't show up this week. San Jose State has a great game. But the handicap that you have on it, I agree 100%. I really like the way the San Jose State offense looks right now, from quarterback, weapons, and even the defense isn't half bad. I like that one. All right, let's see here. The only reason why I'll bring this game up is because, and this is Clemson laying 14 points at Boston College. We talked about it earlier. Boston College is kind of a terrible team right now. They're kind of a terrible team right now. Clemson played a terrible team in North Carolina last weekend. They beat up on them pretty bad. Can they do it again against Boston College? I would definitely lay it with Clemson before I would take 14 points with BC. What do you think about this one?
No play for me here. Both of these teams have been pretty bad against the number, especially recently. I know Clemson finally won and covered last week against North Carolina. They finally covered that. Yeah. So good for Clemson. That's probably more to do with North Carolina at this point. I don't know what to think about this matchup. Like, what do we think about Boston College right now? I don't know what to think about BC. They might be bad, or maybe it's just been the last couple of weeks they've kind of entered a little bit of a slump. I don't think BC's defense is any good, but I think their offense is actually a little bit better than what they've shown. I don't really know what to make of that performance last week against Pittsburgh. That was pretty surprising, to say the least. I don't know what to obviously make of Clemson, so I can't have any best bets here. I'm definitely staying away from this matchup.
Yeah, same here with me. I couldn't recommend somebody laying double digits with Clemson on the road. That's why I didn't do it last weekend with when they played North Carolina. Even though they dominated, good for Clemson, good for Dabo. I want nothing to do with this team laying double digits. It does look enticing, but I want to stay away from it, especially at a 6:30 game, night game. You never know. BC might get lucky. Okay, here's one that is interesting. Interesting number as well, and that's gonna be Kansas Jayhawks traveling to Lubbock, take on Texas Tech. Texas Tech laying 14 points. What do you think about this game?
So Texas Tech, one of only a handful of teams still undefeated against the spread. One of those aforementioned, or not aforementioned, but one of the previously undefeated teams against the spread was Louisiana Tech, and obviously that wasn't the
Oh,
case last night. They finally lost against the spread, and they lost outright to Kennesaw State. So now I think there's only 4 teams undefeated against the number. I think Ohio State has a push. I want to say 4-0-1, but
hmm
Texas Tech. They are again. They are undefeated straight up and undefeated against the spread. I don't think KU is going to be able to stop Texas Tech at all in this game. And I also think KU's
oh,
offensive line is going to struggle blocking Texas Tech's defensive line. I lean Texas Tech here, but Lance Leipold, with this kind of a large spread, I've seen him cover some of these larger spreads, whether it's backdoor or sometimes he wins these games as an outright underdog, as a decisive underdog. Now, I don't think
hmm
KU is winning this game, but I could see them backdoor covering here, especially now with 14 to hook. It was at 13 and a half earlier in the week. That would not have been best bet material, but I would have leaned Texas Tech. I still lean Texas
hmm
Tech here, especially in Lubbock. But again, I could see KU backdooring this. So no best bet for me here. No play.
Yeah, same here. I've been on Kansas a few times this year. Their defense cannot stop a nosebleed. If Texas Tech watches any film, they should know that. You just run the ball, throw it. This Kansas defense won't be able to stop Texas Tech. A night game in Lubbock, Tech still undefeated. I think they could dominate Kansas. Do I want to lay double digits? No, not really. But I really can't back this Kansas defense whatsoever. Kansas did surprise me. They came from behind and beat Central Florida last week on the road, but this is a huge step up in competition for Texas. I mean, for Kansas against Texas Tech. Uh, Kansas played Missouri. What was that? Week 2, week 3 maybe. Their defense couldn't stop Missouri's running game, and I want to say that spread went from like 6, 7, 4, 3. There's all kinds of numbers in that game, but yeah, can Kansas backdoor? Yeah, 100%. They have the offense to do it. We've talked about this with Kansas before. If Kansas can do anything, or if you're going to do anything with Kansas, you might as well take points with the Jayhawks. The offense can move the ball. Maybe gives Texas Tech a test, but I don't want to lay double digits, and I don't want to back Kansas because of their defense. If they get blown out, wouldn't surprise me one bit. But I'm staying away from this one. I just don't like the number. All right, I know you have something. I believe you have something in the next 2 games here. 6:30 p.m. Michigan Wolverines at USC taking on the Trojans. Wolverines taking on the Trojans. Let's see here. USC laying 2.5 points. What do you have here?
So earlier in the week, I gave this out as a best bet. USC on the money line. I'm gonna go back to it. Yeah. All right. So my first play for this is something that I tweeted out a few days ago. First play for this coming Saturday slate. USC money line. At that time, it was minus 134 via FanDuel. I have not checked the pricing on this. I think it's pretty similar if I had to guess, but again, I haven't checked the price on that. So shop around for the best price for the Trojans on the money line. Here's an interesting stat though for this matchup. So unranked home favorites versus ranked opponents are 2-1 straight up this season. and 55 and 29 straight up since 2017. That's a 65% winning percentage. So whenever you see one of those funky lines, when the ranked team, specifically on the road against an unranked team, is an underdog, and you're like, oh, that's free money. Take the ranked team on the money line here. Why is the unranked team favored here? Vegas knows what they're doing. And now, obviously, sometimes the ranked team ends up winning. We have 29 of those examples since 2017, but we have 55 examples of the unranked team winning. So give me the unranked team here in the spot. There's a reason why they're favored. I think this is, if there's any spot that Lincoln Riley needs to win, it's this week at home against a younger Michigan offense. Look, I am not going to say that just because Michigan has a young offense that they're going to struggle here. I don't trust USC's defense to that degree. But coming into the season, I thought USC had some talent, specifically in their front six to front seven. I think in this spot, we could see USC's front six, front seven do okay, or at least good enough against the run. And then I definitely think USC can put up some points in this game and win this, 31-28, 28-24, or something around that range. Maybe there's even a few more points for both teams. But instead of taking USC against the spread, just give me USC money line.
Yeah, and what was the money line number we gave out earlier in the week? Was it minus 125, I believe?
I gave out minus 134.
134. Okay. I must be thinking about another game. But yeah, I agree with you about this one, especially the spot. The spot is just like the Cincinnati Iowa State game, a little bit of more higher profile teams, but same spot, same thinking. I'm looking at it now. USC is they're taking some money. It's a juice, $1.18 at minus 2.5. So I could see this getting to 3 by kickoff. So that's a good thing. I mean, we gave this one out earlier in the week. Minus 134 is not a bad price on the money line. I'm looking at the money line, minus 142 right now. Yeah, I like it. I like this spot for USC. Definitely going to be a challenge for the Trojans, but also Michigan's defense. We'll see what they're made of as well. All right, I think you had something as well on this next game, and that's going to be homecoming for the UTSA Roadrunners, laying 10 points against the Rice Owls.
Yep, lay it with UTSA, minus 9.5. That's the best number you can find right now. I'm glad I waited on this, John, because it would have been minus 12.5 earlier in the week. This is a get right spot for UTSA. They are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 American games. They are 6-1. They are actually, I'm sorry, they are 5-0 against the spread against American teams in the last 5 American home games. This is a much better home team than they are a road team. This is also Rice's 7th straight game without a bye week. They're finally going to have their first bye next week. Look, Rice, they just struggle on both sides of the football. Offensively, they do not get any explosive plays. They struggle throwing the football. UTSA is much better against the run. So Rice is going to utilize their strength offensively and their rushing attack against UTSA's strength on defense and their rush defense. So I trust UTSA both from an analytical standpoint, an emotional standpoint, and a spot standpoint, and a talent standpoint. If you want to throw that in there as well, this is still a UTSA team with an explosive offense. They just really haven't shown that capability here recently, but I think they will this week at home in the Alamo Dome. UTSA's got some pretty difficult American teams upcoming. So I think this is, again, that get-right spot for them to also pick up their first conference victory this season. I trust UTSA minus 9.5. I would be highly disappointed if the Roadrunners do not win this by double digits. I can honestly see UTSA winning by a few touchdowns. Give me UTSA minus 9.5. You can find that at FanDuel, maybe even some other places, but I just saw it on FanDuel.
Yeah, I'm seeing UTSA minus 10 on Bet Online. But yeah, 9.5. Myself personally, I just want to see UTSA finally win a game again. We talked about it on Monday, so I won't go too deep into it. I can't believe that they choked and lost the Temple. Very embarrassing loss, not only for UTSA but the Jeff Traylor era and tenure. That's a very bad loss. I don't know. I mean, if UTSA doesn't win this game, much less cover, they may run Trailer out of town. Who knows? That's something you wouldn't think about saying about a year ago, but you never know. We'll see what happens here. I just want UTSA to win, and if they win and cover the spread, even better. So I'll definitely be watching that game tomorrow night, 6:30 game. Next one, let's see here. Georgia at Auburn. Georgia laying 4 on the road. Taking a little bit of money here, minus 115. You have any info for us on this game?
John, you know I've been the Auburn boy this season. This is a money line sprinkle on the Tigers. Give me that money line sprinkle. This is not best bet material, but just for fun, money line sprinkle on the Auburn Tigers. There's a reason why this number is at 3.5, maybe even up to 4.5 at some other places, but I'm sure everyone is going to be on Georgia to cover. And you look, maybe they do, but maybe Vegas knows something. And I certainly like how Auburn matches up in this game. So I'm sure if you do not believe in what you've seen out of Jackson Arnold this season, and not too many people have seen a lot of good things, no one has, because he hasn't performed well at all. But if you think Jackson Arnold is going to struggle in this game, I think that's going to have more to do with Jackson Arnold himself than the Georgia defense. I think they're like rated 125th in the country at rushing the passer at PFF. It's pretty low. It's in the triple digits. I know that for sure. That's a little bit alarming going up against a good Auburn offense. And if Jackson Arnold can get rid of the football, and that's a big if, but if he does, I think Auburn has the receivers to test what's been, I don't want to say a suspect, but certainly not as usual strong Georgia secondary. So I actually think Auburn can move the football a little bit on this Georgia defense. And I certainly think Auburn's defense can play really well against Georgia's offense and keep this game close. So I think Auburn's got a real shot to win this at home. This is not best bet material, but this is good for a money line sprinkle on the Auburn Tigers.
Nice. Yeah, I know there's a lot of tickets on Georgia, so going the opposite direction. I know you like your Auburn Tigers. Trusting Jackson Arnold, I wish I could, because I know if I did take Auburn, I can't even think about the money line. If I did take Auburn like I did against A&M, although they did cover against the Aggies, it was by a defensive miracle, to be honest. I can't get there with Jackson Arnold and an Auburn ticket. I'll be rooting for you. I'll be rooting for Auburn. I also don't want to back Georgia. I don't want to back Georgia because of the way they played against Alabama. Yeah, they have a chance to get a good road win here, a solid road win. Auburn, they've got this one circled. I know that. They need another big win. Hugh Freeze needs a big win. I don't want anything to do with either one of these teams. But I'm with you. If I had to pick one, I would probably just take the points with Auburn. Maybe this game goes down to a field goal. But again, the quarterback play for Auburn, can't trust it. I don't want to bet on this game. Speaking of another one in the SEC that I don't want to bet on, South Carolina at LSU. LSU Tigers laying 9.5 points. What do you think about this game?
No play for me here. I don't trust either of these offenses. I don't really trust South Carolina's defense all that much. They've looked a little bit better recently, but still, it's not the same defense as they had last year. LSU's defense is the strongest unit in this game, no doubt. Lenore Sellers, if he's got a couple of Superman plays, up his tricks up his sleeve here, if he's got any of those superhero-like plays in this game, then maybe South Carolina can cover here. Maybe they are a live dog with LSU's offense right now. but I'm certainly not going to best bet South Carolina. You know, John, I'm not as high on the Gamecocks this year.
Yeah.
And this is in Tiger Stadium at night. So, yeah, no best bet here.
Yeah, same here. If I had to play one, it would be South Carolina taking the points because LSU is a little suspect, even in Death Valley, 7 o'clock, 6:45 p.m. game. I'm definitely not laying 9.5 with LSU. If I bet on this one, it's definitely gonna be this Gamecocks. Something I'll tweet out if I do. You know, we have a few more games here. I know you've got to run. I just want to apologize in advance to everyone and yourself. I know we're both traveling, and the connection probably hasn't been as good. I don't know how it looks. I'm assuming it's bad for the viewers, but we'll go ahead and wrap this up in a rapid fire. I have one more best bet. We'll get to it at the end, but I'm going to go through these really quick, rapid fire, and then we'll close up with anything that you have to finalize it. And that's it. But I appreciate people that did tune in. Again, I apologize for the quality, and it was not a tough stream, but it's a little different today for us. All right, real quick, BYU at Arizona. Is this the week that Arizona comes through? Is this the week that BYU finally has a loss? BYU's favored by 1.5 points. I think this is the game that Arizona could very well win and finally knock BYU, giving BYU a loss in the Big 12 column. Troy at Texas State. Texas State favored by 7.5. After last week, I want nothing to do with Texas State. Mountain West, New Mexico at Boise State. Boise State laying 16.5 points. If I had to pick one, it would be New Mexico. Hope for a shootout. I believe this could be a shootout. I would take New Mexico here. The offense can move the ball, should be able to move the ball on the Boise State defense. Boise State coming off of a tough game against Notre Dame. I don't know if it's the best bet, but I do like New Mexico getting 16.5 points there. Utah hosting Arizona State. It sounds like the quarterback for Arizona State's injured and he's not going to play. I believe Jeff Sims, former Georgia Tech, Nebraska quarterback, will be starting for Arizona State. That's why this number moved to -9.5 from, I believe, 5.5 earlier in the week. I don't know. I think last time Jeff Sims played last year, the first start he had, Arizona State got killed. And then I think they won the rest of the games that season. I could be wrong. I could be thinking of Jeff Sims with Nebraska. But I'm pretty sure Arizona State got killed with Jeff Sims. Again, I could be wrong, though. San Diego State laying 7.5 on the road at Nevada. San Diego State looks good. Nevada's been competitive. Pass for me. And then I think this is my last best bet, and that's going to be the Hawaii Fighting Rainbow Warriors at home, plus 1.5 or on the money line. Either way, every Hawaii game comes down to the last play anyways. So just take the points here against Utah State. I'm going to go ahead and put Hawaii in as my last best bet. And that's everything. That's all the games. Do you have anything else you want to close on, Connor?
Yeah, I'm going to give out. Let's see here. I know I've given 3 best bets. 2 of them money line plays. San Jose State at Wyoming. Give me the Spartan USC on the money line against Michigan. I know I have a best bet with UTSA -9.5 versus Rice. I love that play. +7 against UNLV. I think Air Force is a live dog here. John, I've said that UNLV's time is coming. It might just simply be next week against Boise. But when you look at a much stronger strength of schedule, and something else that I want to point out here. See, I'm going to try to find this. Let's see. Okay, so UNLV, this is just from the FBS opponents, so not including Idaho State, which they gave up 31 points to. Sam Houston, 129th in the country in total offense. They gave up 21 points. UCLA and Miami of Ohio tied. Well, this is, I guess, flipped a little bit since last week. But going into last week, they were both tied at 103rd in the country, 23 and 38 points respectively. And then Wyoming tied 98th in the country in total offense. They gave up 17 points. Right now, Air Force top their team total is 28.5. If you bought that down to 27.5, you're going to be laying some juice there. But play Boise State next week. I know Air Force is coming off an emotional loss to Navy, but Air Force is still looking for its first win against an FBS opponent this season, and they've been getting better. I think their offense is just as good, if not better, than UNLV's, and while their defense is definitely so. I think you have two evenly matched teams here. I think you have a team that's been one of the most unfortunate in the country with Air Force, and one of the most fortunate teams, if not the most fortunate. Action Network says that UNLV is the most fortunate. So give me Air Force +7. I think they're a live dog. Maybe I push here, but I definitely think we're going to have some points here. If you want to buy down that Air Force team total to 27.5, again, you're going to be laying like -130, -140. I don't think that's the worst play in the world because I do think they're going to score some points here. But just give me Air Force +7. I wouldn't be shocked, John, if Air Force wins this game outright. Feels a little bit too good to be true for UNLV to be 6-0, and it feels like Air Force's win is coming here soon. Again, look at the strength of schedule. Much more difficult for Air Force. They face Utah State, who's undefeated against the spread. They face Boise State, put up a lot of points there against Boise. They faced Navy and gave them all they could handle. They almost took down Navy and probably should have, to be honest with you. So I think Air Force is a live dog here.
I like it.
That's my fourth best bet. Do you have 5 best bets this week, John?
Yeah, I gave out Oklahoma +3 on Monday. I also have I gave out Maryland +6.5 on Monday. That spread hasn't moved. I still love Maryland, and I also think they win the game. My other one, my third best bet is Mizzou +3, and then I think I think I have my last two, which is I think you convinced me here because I forgot about the look ahead spot against UNLV, an undefeated UNLV for Boise State. So give me New Mexico +16.5. I think this game turns into a shootout. Give me the Lobos +16.5. And then my fifth game is going to be Hawaii +1.5. So that's going to be Oklahoma +3, Mizzou +3, and then Maryland +6.5, New Mexico +16.5, and then Hawaii +1.5. I still like OU on the money line, but again, I gave out +3 on Monday. We'll notate that in the graphic as well.
Sounds good. Yeah, send me all that stuff so I can put it on the graphic. Just send me all of it because it'd be easier for me to get that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's fine.
Man. I'm trying to find a fifth best bet here. You know, I really want to lay it with Old Dominion, 14.5 against Marshall. It's just that there's potential look ahead there because Old Dominion plays at James Madison next week. That's probably going to decide the Sun Belt. It will be deciding the Sun Belt East. It very well could decide who wins the Sun Belt championship. So I just worry that Old Dominion's going to take their foot off the gas, and Marshall, they've improved a little bit offensively, so there could be some garbage time there for Marshall. I wish there was like a spread that would say Old Dominion's going to be winning by X amount after the third quarter, because I would take that. You could do Old Dominion minus 7.5 in the half because I certainly think they are better than it. You know what?
14.5 on the road's a little tough.
Do it. Let's go
but, yeah. For which one?
I think a lot of models.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Old Dominion. to take Old Dominion here. I'm thinking about it. Or maybe the better play would just be taking Old Dominion minus 7.5 in the first half. They've been a very good first half team this
Okay.
season. And I think Marshall's
Yeah.
I don't think Marshall's offense is as good as what it's shown, but I do think it's improved. But I don't think it's like all that good. This is the most difficult opponent that Marshall has faced since Georgia. Um, like you would think that there's going
Yeah.
to
I'm
be some
seeing a
sleepwalking for Old Dominion.
-7
It's going to be in the
at Bet
second half.
Online. Mm-hmm.
For the first half?
Yeah. Go. Yeah.
Ooh, that's
At
it.
Bet Online, I'm seeing -7, -125 for Old Dominion.
What about for the full game?
14.5.
Mm. Give me Old Dominion -7 first half.
Okay. I like it. I like it. It worked out for you, but you didn't get there. You didn't trust your gut on the James Madison game. James Madison covered the first half, I believe, but they didn't cover the game against Liberty. May have to fact check me on that one. I'm pretty sure they covered the first half. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, and I did a first half play with Washington against Washington State, and that went well. And what did we see in the second half?
Yep.
Washington State came back for a little while, and then Washington eventually just laid it on them in the fourth quarter. But first half play here, like Old Dominion's offense, man, like Marshall's not stopping them. So I'm sure people are tuning in like, why don't you just take the Old Dominion team total? Because it's 35.5. And again, there could be sleepwalking in the second half of this game. Do I hear? And I don't think Marshall's offense is quite as good as what it's shown because it is actually pretty good. So yeah, I'll take Old Dominion -7 in the first half. They haven't won at Marshall in a long time. I don't know the last time they've won, but it's been a little while. So I think they're going to want to send a message here. They know they have the team to do this, but then again, they might sleepwalk a little bit in the fourth quarter with JMU on deck. So give me Old Dominion -7 in the first half without the hook there, so you can have a chance of a push here. I love that play.
I like it. I like it. So go ahead and give us your 5 best bets. That way we could, because you were breaking up a little bit, and I'm breaking up for me. So I'm assuming it happened on the live end. So just go ahead and run down your best bets one more time for us.
Over here right now, it's just horrible. Can you still hear me,
Yeah, I can hear you
John?
now. I can hear you now. I know it's breaking up. But yeah, just do your best to just go through your 5 right now, and then we'll close it up.
Okay. USC on the money line against Michigan. San Jose State on the money line at Wyoming. Old Dominion -7 in the first half at Marshall. Air Force +7 at UNLV, and then UTSA -9.5 versus Rice. Those are my 5 best bets for Week 7.
Love it. Love it. And then for me, I gave out Oklahoma +3 on Monday. I still have we'll have Oklahoma on the money line. Maryland +6.5, Mizzou +3, and then New Mexico +16.5, Hawaii +1.5. That's my 5. And I hope I pushed last weekend. So hopefully get back on on a winning streak.
I pushed last night thanks to Louisiana Tech not covering for the first time this season. Otherwise, it would have been a fantastic day. So
Yeah, I
hopefully
know.
hoping for a winning weekend. Yeah, it's time. I came so close to bouncing bass last week. I had so many close losses. So I'm right on the threshold of having a fantastic weekend again. So yeah, it's time. It's time for that true bounce back. Almost had it last week. I'm going to get it this week.
I love it. I love the confidence. And good luck. Good luck to you. Good luck to the viewers. Again, if y'all have any questions, any slander, just throw it our way on X, Twitter, whatever else you want to follow us on, or you do follow us on. But that's everything for us. Again, I apologize for our we're traveling, and it's been a bad connection. So hopefully not too bad. But I appreciate y'all sitting through it, and Connor, for you as well, jumping in. Yeah, we'll go ahead and close it down, and hopefully, your Mean Green gets you a win tonight.
Yeah, hopefully so. Should be a fantastic game and atmosphere in Denton, Texas.
All right, I like it. I'll definitely be watching. But that's everything that we have. We'll post up a graphic. I know it was a bad quality, so we'll post a graphic on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. Same handle, DDSN.US _US on Twitter. Because of the connection, we'll just post it on there like usual. But that's everything for us. Again, appreciate it and apologize in advance for the connection.